Lena had always been drawn to the old mansion on Elmwood Street, its shuttered windows and curling ivy whispering of forgotten grandeur. When the real estate agent handed her the keys, she felt a thrill she couldn't quite name, as if the house were expecting someone. She moved in on a rainy afternoon, the air heavy with damp wood and dust. The moment she stepped inside, she sensed that the walls had memories. Portraits of stern ancestors lined the hallway, their painted eyes seeming to follow her every movement. In the main living room hung a large, oil-painted canvas of a woman in a flowing green dress, seated by a window and looking out into a dark garden. Lena found herself drawn to that painting more than any other. She liked the way the woman's gaze seemed fixed on something just beyond the glass, and the way the brushstrokes around her eyes were disturbingly lifelike. On the first night, as Lena sat reading on the sofa opposite the painting, she felt a chill. She glanced up, and it looked to her as if the woman's lips had parted slightly. Assuming it was a trick of the shadows, Lena ignored it. The next day, she discovered a small brass plaque beneath the painting with the name, Evelyn Penrose, 1892 to 1915. Intrigued, she visited the local library and found an old newspaper clipping. Evelyn Penrose was the daughter of the house's original owner, who had died mysteriously at age 23. The article mentioned her last diary entry, "I no longer feel unseen. I am now watched." Lena shivered. That night, the house groaned and creaked as if settling, but there was something else, a gentle scraping sound from the living room. She rose to investigate, flashlight in hand. The beam landed on the painting. The woman's eyes, she was sure now, had shifted slightly. The garden behind the window darkened, even though the real garden outside was still brighter. The light flickered, and for a fleeting moment, the lady in green seemed to lean forward. Lena's heartbeat thundered. She backed away and rushed upstairs. She locked her bedroom door and lay awake, listening to the subtle thuds and whispers that seemed to drift through the walls. When morning came, she found a faint handprint on the glass of the painting, smudged and lightly edged in dust. She touched it and felt a vibration, like a suppressed heartbeat. As the days passed, Lena dreaded the living room. She avoided sitting opposite the painting, and when she did, she kept the lights on. But the painting watched her nonetheless. She noticed that when she was gone, the eyes would follow empty rooms. When she returned, they would shift just before she entered. The green dress's folds fluttered as though stirred by an unseen breeze. Once she caught the corner of her eye, the woman in the painting had raised her hand, not just raised it, but pointed toward the door. Lena confronted the agent, demanding to know how long the painting had been there. The agent stuttered. "Oh, it's been in the house since before we listed. The previous owner insisted we leave it." She was obsessed. She couldn't recall further details. Lena pressed the agent to contact the prior owner. The agent agreed, but days passed without result. Meanwhile, Lena started experiencing dreams. She was in the garden, behind the window, darkness all around. The woman in green calling softly, "Come." Lena would awaken gasping, drenched in sweat. The living room felt too close now. One afternoon, she attempted to remove the painting from the wall and relocate it to the attic. As she heaved the heavy frame down, she stumbled. The woman's eyes locked onto her. Lena dropped the painting. The glass cracked. In the reflection, Lena thought she saw the living room window behind her, but she was standing in front of it. The image flickered. Then the woman's face changed, from pale expression to a wide, welcoming smile. Panicked, Lena wrapped the painting in a blanket and carried it to the attic. The next morning, she went to the living room, and the space felt hollow without the painting's presence. Yet the feeling of being watched was even stronger. The walls creaked. The garden seemed closer. A breeze passed through the house, though no window was open. She realized the watching wasn't coming from a painting alone. It had transferred into the room. Desperate, Lena rummaged through old files she found in a dusty trunk in the attic. She discovered a series of letters between Evelyn Penrose and a woman named Martha. Evelyn's tone grew more agitated. "They say the portrait must see all. I feel every glance, every breath. I cannot escape the gaze." The final letter read, "If I hang it away, the watcher will remain. I am no longer the subject. I have become the observant." Chills ran down Lena's spine. That evening, the TV flickered off by itself. The painting lay wrapped in the attic, but the living room lights switched on. Lena entered to turn it off and froze. There on the sofa sat the woman in green, her hand poised like the painting's subject once had been. The garden behind the window was now pitch black. The woman turned her head slowly, looked directly at Lena, and whispered in a voice like wind through leaves, "Now I watch." Lena dropped the remote and backed toward the stairs. The woman rose, as if stepping out of the painting, and began to glide toward her. Lena fled. She forgot about the house's charm and ran into the night, leaving lights and doors behind. Hours later, she returned with movers. The frame, the canvas, the glass, all were gone. The movers took them away without question. Lena locked up and fled town the next morning. But even miles away, she felt eyes on her. At night, in her new apartment, the faint reflection of green cloth flickered at the corner windows. And she knew the painting had watched, and now so did its subject. 1 month later, the house on Elmwood Street was demolished after the new owner discovered its walls collapsing. In the basement, hidden behind a false wall, they found the painting, still intact and hung, still watching. The caretaker who removed it swore the woman in green turned her head to follow him as he exited. The photograph taken of the discovery shows the eyes of the subject looking directly into the lens. And so the painting continues its silent vigil. Whenever someone asks why the wrecking crew refused to bring it outside, the caretaker answers simply, because it was watching.